死だ。
人々の体内にある精魂。それを下ろしましょう。
In a bubble universe that resembled a prison cell, she felt the past of Hare flow through the core of Hares of reason. Although she did not witness the process, this was a sign in itself.
Bronya, キーとなる濃度をどう制御すればいいのか、やっと理解できたんですね。
So in order for us to understand the keynotes, we had to experience the connection between Bronya and Hare and how how Hare came to life. Without doubt, Bronya was doing the opposite of what she suggested. By using her connection with the Harsho's core, she screened out and peeled off as much information planted in it by Hare as possible. Hare would naturally use Project Stigma to counteract it, but from Prometheus' perspective, Hare had no reason to be so hostile toward Bronya. What kind of being are you? Was an unanswered question she had asked Hare too many times. So it's not just targeted at Hash of reason. Is this some redemption arc? Because she was trembling and she was very upset about the truth of where she was born from. So maybe this is more of like redemption. She feels kind of bad that the stigma space kind of was born and she was born, or maybe she feels responsible for Cecilia's death. I don't know. I don't really get it now as of right now. Although there was no actual chessboard, Hare and Bronya continued fighting back and forth. Misteln Shariak and Bronya Zeitchik had both bet themselves on the strategic game. Can't even read anymore. Ooh. Oh, that is an interesting space. Oh, I can move. Let's see. Let's advance in battle. Touch core. Is that my Herrscher core? Do I have to fight Misteln now? Or maybe that's the Stigma core. Advance in battle. We are just following her, right? Enter. Okay. There is like so much backstory.
なるほど。実体という形で直接存在する聖魂なんですね。
So, does that mean Misteln is kind of the same as Seele's stigma? Like the other Seele is a stigma herself as well, right?
不条理ではありますが、メイ姉さんが得た情報と一致しています。
The information previously implanted by Hare now took the form of a seed of ideas right before her eyes. Through previous verification, Bronya had analyzed and secured it.
続いては、剥離の準備です。
Okay. There are a lot of them. Examine the information that Hare has implanted. Seed of idea. This is a lot. Verify again. Seed of idea. Legend of Cecilia Shariak.
さっき見た記憶は、キアナのお母さんと関係があるんですね。
Verify again.
やっぱり。
Okay. Strip. Ay, ay, ay. Not the dragon again. Oh god. Like, how many times in this game am I fighting the same dragon? Question mark. Like, it's crazy how much recycling they do with like this dragon. I hope you guys are not bored by this part, because I feel like I usually do like a lot more, you know, like theorizing and trying to like talk a lot to help me understand all of this. But I just feel like now I just have to go with the flow, you know? It doesn't do me or like the video any good if I just try to understand everything after every sentence. So I'm just trying to keep a steady flow and go on even if I don't understand things, but it makes it harder to talk about things.
ウサギが植え込んだ他の情報も探してみましょう。多分
There should be
あと
about
5つぐらいはあ
5
ります。
left. That is crazy. Okay, so I... Wait, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there are definitely more. Verify. Enabled by special traits from her hash of reason identity, Bronya once again accessed the fragment in front of her.
その通りさ。私はかつて
Talk about the cruelty of hell.
聞かされたことがある。追放の地、苦痛の地。
Despair and suffering
陸
with
地には燃え
burning
る茨が
thorns.
至るところで這い。ゆるりと悪行を成した者は、そのうちにあるレンガのように永遠の炎に投げ込まれ、
Cast into
己の
eternal
罪のせいで
fire.
永
I
世に
hate hot
火あぶりに処され
places.
る。罪が深ければ、その分火は燃え
The
盛る。
greater the sin, the stronger the flames.
死を超える苦痛。
Huh.
逃れる術はなく、終わりなど訪れない。
The question is, do you really feel pain if you're already dead?
それでも、希望が全くないわけでもない。
Okay. Even fully prepared, he was still subject to heavy corruption from approaching the opponent. After a long time, he finally became able to open his mechanical eyes. Contrary to his statement, the snow falling down around him resembled ashes from heaven. During intervals of his speech, her eyes occasionally moved from the person in front of him to a window reflecting blinding sunshine in the distance. Amidst the dazzling light lurked a stalker. Grey Serpent had no doubt. The short distance made him curious, and he wasn't troubled. After all, compared with the idea before him, the Watcher was nothing.
話を続けてもいいわよ。
Oh, it's about Misteln again, right? That's how she met Grey Serpent.
私にそんなことを語るだけで、自分が再び死んでもいいのであれば。
She is so different here in the beginning, you know? I don't really felt like she was very hostile against anyone, but...
構わない。物事の意義とは、常に終わった後で示されるものだからね。
The meaning of something can only become obvious after it's gone.
ともかく、
Huh.
極悪でありながらも、地獄の受刑者たちのために泣いてくれる人がいるなら、それだけで受刑者たちの苦痛は和らぐ。十分な涙があれば、
With sufficient tears, the fire might even go out for a while. Like, you probably need a whole, I don't know, flood.
つまり、あなたも同じように、
I'm beyond
私の罪
redemption.
は許されがたいものだと思っているのね。
Maybe we will get to the point, but I didn't fully understand, I guess, why she was on a redemption arc. What did she do? Is she just on a redemption arc because she was born and thinks it was wrong because she was born out of the death of Cecilia Shariak?
それも情けを施されるのが難しい類のものだ。
Okay.
君もまた死を超える苦痛
You're
に
also
身を置い
in
ている。
pain beyond death.
その劣化を終わらせるどころか、弱める希望すら君には存在しない。
But isn't that awful for her? She was born and was immediately in so much pain that she felt like she needs a redemption
さもなければ、こうして話すこともなかっただろう。
The woman finally left the burning fire after her trick was called out. She recovered instantly.
そのことを話したのは、慰めてくれてるからだと思ってたわ。
向かい側の来客である以上、 君は物事の本質まで容易にたどり着ける。
Hmm.
隠し
As
た
a
ところ
visitor
で
from the other
力の
side.
無駄に過ぎない。そう言わせてもらうと、どんな方法を取ろうと、
Intensifying your
より
despair
一
is in
層
my
君が感じ
interest.
る絶望の色が濃くなるだけだろう。
What? That sounds
その
terrible.
方が私の利益と一
Why
致
would
す
he
る。
be interested in that?
そうすることで命を引き換えにした最小体が成功しうるからね。
Hmm. Slanting the umbrella to the side, the man reached out his hand.
ヨルムンガンドに来るといい。そうすれば
Ah,
君の望
so
み
that is
は
how
叶
he
う。
recruited her. Interesting. Truth be told, it wasn't the first time for her to receive such an invitation, so...
答えは知っているはずよ。
Oh,
あなたが口にしていた成婚計画。たとえそれが
interesting that she
未
refused
来
in the
の現
beginning.
実だとしても興味がないの。私からのお願いだとでも思ってここから立ち去りなさい。
I hope we see what changed her mind, though. I love character backstories.
今でもまだ慣れないの。他の命が
I'm still not
自分のせいで
used to
散り去
seeing
ってい
any
く
life
姿を
wither
見るのは
because of me.
その必要はない。この距離で君と長く共にいたんだ。この体はすでに修理不可能になっている。
Wait, maybe I just didn't get it beforehand, but is she killing people or things around her?
以前と全く同じね。
ああ、それにヨルムンガンドに勧
What do
誘
you
するため
desire
の
the
条件、
most?
それは君が望んだもの。
And what is that?
つまり死だ。
Like everyone just wants to die always. It's crazy.
意味がよくわからないわ。
So is she the kind of stigma that can't have anything around her because it's just dying? But we didn't die.
君の体だけが異常なわけではない。
You're not the only one with a
私が
special
いつも見
body.
つけられる以上、君のことを知り尽くすのも難しくはない。
Huh. And that is why she wants to die. Okay.
例えば死を超える苦痛を常に感じるため、
Thousands of times.
君は数十回ほど自分を始末しようとした。あいにくその半数くらいは
That is
直接
sad.
見ることができた。
あなたって本当に気持ち悪いわね。
That is... I didn't expect this at all. Like, she doesn't seem like that at all. But maybe she became cheerful after they promised her that she would die.
目的を成し遂げる手
But
段
isn't
に
she supposed to
可
be
愛
like
く
the
見せること
new
など不要だ
humans?
ろう。君はほぼ空っぽだ。 ただ
You've exhibited
自分を殺すことに
extraordinary
かけては
imagination when it comes to
恐ろ
killing.
しいまでの想像力を持っている。
That sounds terrible.
そう空気を必要としないにもかかわらず深い水中
You
に飛
don't
び
need
込む。
air, but you plunged
実体を持た
yourself
ないに
into
もかか
deep
わらず
water.
刃で身を貫く。
You don't have a concrete form, but you stabbed yourself with an... That is crazy. Like, the amount of courage it takes to, like, harm yourself.
今日はその無益な暇つぶしを終わらせる確実に有益な希望を提供するために来たんだ。
And offer you real hope.
例えば
Hmm.
ごめんなさい。少し来るのが遅かったみたいね。
おや
Why is that?
あなたも知ってる通り、私は自由に人々の体内にある精魂が覚醒するように働きかけることができる。
Wait, was that obvious? Because I didn't know that.
だが私も同じように初対面の時からすでに
I also know
君
you
がそれを
have
諦めてい
given
る
it
ことを
up
知ってい
when we
る。
met for the first time.
でも今日こうしてあなたを拒絶する理由も
So she was against
そこにあ
Project
るのよ。
Stigma in the end.
精魂の強制覚醒に耐え
Who would?
消え去ることのない人。
What?
それは意外だ。
Wait, what? This is exactly the... Who would kill her, probably.
適合者はごく少数しかいない。
And once it
一度
disappeared, it
消
can
え
be
てしま
difficult
え
to find
ば、
another.
二人目を見つけることは
Now he is
と
just
ても難
threatening
しい。
her, killing the source that wants to kill her. Without any sign, Grey Serpent raised his pistol to the window he previously looked at. Wait, what? Wasn't Bronyas' father shot? It wasn't until now that he realized the Watcher in the dark was the biggest obstacle to his mission. Don't tell me he shot Bronyas' father.
あな
I
た
think it was her father, right? Was that the mission? No, someone blew himself up, right? But someone got shot. Was it Bronyas' father? Bro, I think that's connected, right? The girl's consciousness was flung out of the memory fragment. Before pulling the trigger, Grey Serpent's body was already fully corrupted. This naturally put an end to the memory fragment that belonged to him, but aside from more puzzles, the girl got
ブ
nothing.
ローニャと同
What
じ
do
で
you
すね。
mean, nothing?
彼女はシベリア以外のところにも現れています。
It didn't feel like she showed up in Siberia.
それに、そ
She
こ
was
から
born there,
誕生し
yeah.
たように見えます。道理で周りが雪原なのですね。そして、あの頃の雰囲気、
That's what I'm
今とは
saying.
完全に違ってるようです。
From her own experience, she made a vague guess but didn't dwell on it. Like, I feel like the guy that was always talking in like Bronya's memories told us that one of the guys was shot, but I can't remember if it was just one rando guy or if no one blew himself up, I feel like, by accident or got blown away. I don't really know anymore. Let me know in the comments down below. After all, she didn't relive the past memories simply to know the
それ
opponent.
では続けましょう。
Well, since she didn't react that someone was shot, I guess it was maybe not Bronya's father? I don't know. I was so sure for a second. And then I just thought maybe it was not him. Who was Maxime? No, Maxime, wasn't he the guy that told us the stories? I already forgot too many names. Cedar of Idea, Legend of Grey Serpent 7244. Strip. Interesting that she wanted to die, because I didn't clock the fact that she had a body that would harm others. That's why I was so confused.
強風よ
Huh.
私に服従しなさい
Interesting though. But she's still part of the story later on, I feel like.
戦場を突破します。
I mean, I feel like after the finality stuff, or maybe within the finalities chapters, there is just so much more with like Prometheus. I feel like I remember seeing a trailer or something for like a version, and that was where like Hare and Prometheus were as well. Because I think in the past, right, I used to like watch the new trailers, but then I just stopped because it doesn't really make much sense since I'm not at the versions that the trailers are from. So I froze it. Can you just die? Okay. Like chapter 33 is just taking up quite some time, and it's like
なぜ
pretty
か
informative and huge. Maybe it's just for me because my brain doesn't work that good. Something still doesn't feel right. What is
重
it?
曹ウサギイデアの種はあとど
The mechanical assistant reported 16. We had 5 before.
数え間違えていませんか？
She got the same number again, and this meant just when Bronya was trying to move forward, the surroundings were planted with more information. The situation reminded her of a chess game, only the opponent took more than 10 moves in the time Bronya took 1. That is bad. It's going too
なる
fast.
ほど
The
最
game
初
is
から
rigged.
誰かさんは
Someone's
チートし
cheating. Yeah. Someone's cheating. 17, 18. Oh god, let's go.
シャニアテの清潔の反面は崩壊エネルギーの影響を強める一つの観念です。
The idea that it enhances the influence of Honkai
仮に
energy.
彼女がこの世に初めて生まれたイデアだとしたら、シベリアが見捨てられた地になったことを天命とネゲントロピーが知らないわけがあり
Should
ま
have
せん。
noticed. So isn't it weird that Otto didn't notice because Otto already knew about like the sword of stigma and that something like that exists, right? Maybe this was some advanced knowledge to think of ideas.
第二次崩壊は逆に彼
The
女の
second
盾になっ
eruption
たんでしょ
covered
うか。
for her. Okay, true. She was born right after Cecilia sacrificed herself, and of course, during the second eruption, like, attention was somewhere else. The count reported by Project Bunny exceeded 30 now. Oh god. Her disadvantage was
で
massive.
も断りの律者をやっつけるために彼女は自分の
She had
過去という
exposed her
切り
own
札を知られてしまいました。
But so far, we didn't find out anything that could help us, right? Except for that she wants to die.
ではブローニャが今しなければならないことは
What is it? 33 popped up as Bronya confirmed her strategy.
ブローニャは歴史から彼女の隙を見つけ作戦を改善しなければなりません。
Okay. Legend of Grey Serpent 7125.
いや、
Okay.
そんな。私は
Is that after he
私は死んだはずでしょ。
Wait, did she shoot her? No. Siberia, the forsaken land. She, the idea named Shariak, descended again. Wait, she came back? In the deep snow, she was crying, crawling, seeking any living thing around her, but just like the first time she came to the world, everything around her became corrupted by Honkai and vanished after a brief and fruitless struggle. Wait, did he shoot her and then she just came back to life? Did she have the abilities that the Abyss Flower has?
きっと何か方法が全てを終わ
Wait,
ら
that
せる
is
方法があるはず
crazy.
よ。滅ばない存在なんてない。もう一度試してみましょう。
There's no such thing that cannot be destroyed.
やはり前に見た通りです。記憶の主が死んだら物語も終わる。
The story ends
そ
when
して
the
ブ
one
ローニャは
remembering dies.
いつもウサギの視点で関わっています。
Bronya was always involved. Huh?
でもその全てが彼女を死ぬほど苦しめているというのなら、彼女はどうして今何もないかのように現れたんでしょうか。
Hmm.
崩壊獣でさえも彼女がもたらす崩壊エネルギーの異常を受け止めきれないんですね。もし普通の人間だったら。
Just her whole presence weakens or like damages the Honkai. That is insane, actually. Huh. Obviously, like everyone reluctant to leave the motherland after the second eruption, this squad didn't tread onto this wretched land unprepared. Still, the increasing number of Honkai beasts far exceeded their estimation. In this soon-to-end battle, hardly anyone could survive. Crazy that we are going back to like... This is insane that she was already there, like after the second eruption. With a worried look, the woman stepped forward and seemed ready to leap down and help. But she didn't.
どうやらいろいろ試して 彼らにとってより良い対応方法を学んだようだ。
But does that mean she lives in a loop? That whenever she wants to die, she just can't and gets just born again? But I feel like she's always reborn in the same place, you know, always after the second eruption. Or is she not? Spoke a man standing in a storm alone with an umbrella and watching the woman who left a trail of hell behind. Judging by his casual poise, he had been waiting for a long while.
君の今の気持ちは分かっている。何しろあの崩壊獣たちを生み出したのは
After all,
君なのだから。
you're the very reason these Honkai beasts came to be. What?
あなたが誰なのか、私のことをどれほど知っているのかはわからないけど。
But how does he know her? Is he always watching her? But that doesn't make sense. I thought it doesn't make sense. Okay,
で
anyways.
ももしその命が惜しいというのなら、
Her eyes returned to the battle in the distance. Even though she thought she'd learned not to attach herself to any strangers.
構わない。君の影響がある半径を丁寧に計算した。
Okay.
君の元に行くと決めたからには一度死ぬ程度は受け入れられる代償だ。
But she didn't affect us at all. He shook the black umbrella he was holding. Or maybe that's not true. Maybe she affected our Herrscher course. She didn't kill us in some kind of way. But maybe that's why our powers were restrained because of her and how her powers work. The mechanical side of his face faded in and out of
世
view.
の中の人は皆シベリアで発生した不規則な崩壊現象は第二次崩壊が残した影響だと思っている。実際は
But why
違う。
is she the reason? Why is the Honkai
So that-
attracted to her even though she can just walk past it and kill it?
遠隔操作しているのね。あなたはここにいないの。
Huh.
私はどこにでも存在する。
I'm everywhere. That's creepy.
しかしあの製造者の定義で言うなら君の目の前に立っているこの体は
But according to the maker, the body before you can indeed be called life or even
人間
human.
と呼べるのかもしれな
I
い。
feel like the Grey Serpent is invention of like Mobius.
公平性のため私の質問にも答えてほしい。
Like you to always answer my question.
私が全ての元凶だと確信しながら、なぜ知っていることをわざわざ聞くの？
ここに来たのはもう一つのミッションに必要な人物を
I
物
didn't
色する
expect
た
it
め
to be my
だった。
biggest catch.
残念なことに今まで君に会うことができなかった。君の存在は安定していない。
Your existence is
だから天
unstable.
命もネゲントロピーも君の存在に気づかなかった。
Also made it harder for
それ
me
も
to
また
find you.
君の創作の妨げになった。かつて数
So
回
he stumbled upon
や
her
っと
by
の思いで手
accident.
がかりを得た時があったが君の姿形はすでに現実世界から消えて
Whenever I was on your
Leaning
trail,
on
you'd
Basho.
involuntarily disappear from reality and return to the world of ideas. Is that where she goes when she tries to kill herself?
聖魂空間に帰っていた。
Stigma space. So the stigma space didn't exist before?
驚くことはない。聖魂の奇跡を目にした人々の中では私は知っていることが少ない方だから。
So that means that the stigma space is the space of ideas. So it's the same thing?
それで
I'm confused.
君は自分の
You're still
現
unable to
実の存在を
stabilize
安定させら
yourself.
れていないようだが
Okay. That's not the same as I thought she's going back there when she kills herself and then she stabilizes somehow and comes back to reality.
私はここに現れるべきじゃない。
I should have
それどころ
completely
か
disappeared.
完全に消えた方がいいのよ。
Well, as long, I guess, as the stigma space exists, she will exist as well.
それにこうしてあなたに見つかったでしょ。
それはただ君と私が似すぎてい
Because you
る
and
から
I
だ
are so similar. In what way?
自己認識から言えば私は君と同じく消
I'm
え
a
るべき
byproduct.
何らかの副
Okay.
産物でしかない、ただ
Just like you. Does it mean the stigma space? I feel like the story is just confusing me, right? Because, like, a few seconds ago, I said the stigma space did not exist until she was born. But I don't think that's true, right? The stigma, or maybe it is, and stigma, like a different type of stigma, has already existed before the second eruption, right? Because why would Grey Serpent want to do Project Stigma even before they have met her, right? They're trying to recruit her for Project Stigma. It only makes sense that Stigma was already a thing beforehand, right? But how did Kevin then find out how to use Stigma? Kevin also has Stigma, right? I feel like the story is confusing me with the whole Stigma stuff. Like, Kevin has the will of Stigma, right? When did that happen? I'm confused.
偉大な願望に関わ
Timeline.
る信念を除けば私をただの商
I'm
売
really
人
just
だ
a
と認識してもらっ
businessman.
ても構わない
Like the timeline when things have appeared, it's well, I don't know. This chapter is confusing me
それ
here.
は君を探している
Like
目
when I
的で
feel
も
like I
ある
understand stuff and I want to understand them further, it just confuses me because in my head there's too much confusion right now.
商売
But I feel like I always had problems to understand the whole stigma thing because there are just different types of stigma and everything works just different. And I feel like sometimes, or maybe I just forgot it, but I feel like sometimes the story is not as in your face with some parts and you have to like piece everything slowly together so you can fully understand everything. And even if I read your comments, sometimes I just tend to forget what you guys wrote, you know, and then I have to go back and read it again to make like sense of my thoughts and your thoughts and get the explanation that you're giving me and then piece them together. And I feel like the story is so complicated all of a sudden. Okay, enough talk.
そうだ君を
Again.
ヨルムンガンドに迎え入れたい
He's trying again.
私のことを
If you're looking
あ
to
る
use me
種の
as a
兵器だ
weapon,
と思っているならそれはお門違いよ。それに私の望みはともかく
will
私を利
only
用し
end in
て
you hurting
他人を
yourself.
傷つけようとしたら
おやそれは誤解だ君は孫子より強い武器ではないからね
Not him downplaying her,
私から見れば君の性質は重要ではない
but what he can do.
重要なのは
You can weave a
君に
dream.
何ができるかだ
できる人間の体内の精魂を活性化させたいの
Is that what they tried to do in like Arc City? Like Arc City was what, chapter 11? So it's been a while.
いやそうではない
That it
君なら呼
works
吸する
on
ように簡
divinity.
単にできる神業というのもいいだろうしかしヨルムンガンドも実現できる技術を持っている
Huh.
それに君もそのやり方の限界を
Barely anyone
適合
qualifies.
者は
Mm.
1万人に1人もいないという事実
Yeah,
を知っているはずだ
See, I remember that. Like, funny, like, it was a chapter that I didn't really understand because, as I said before, the whole stigma stuff is always like, I don't know, it just doesn't want to get in my head. But I still remember that chapter though.
じゃあ
I don't know why.
あなたの目的は何
おそらく
Perhaps
君が無
something
価値
you
だと思ってい
yourself
るもの
think
だ
it's worthless.
おや
At this point, the man fell silent and looked at the distant battlefield. The shrill cry of Honkai beasts could be heard in the distance. The remains of Max littered the pale earth, waiting to be covered in snow.
彼らもダメだったようだ。君は
You feel remorse for
今この
being
時
unable to step in and
まだ
save
救い
them.
の手を差し伸べなかったことを後悔しているのだろうか。
Because then she would have killed them, right? So she kind of, I feel like she is a little bit like the abyss flower.
それともその手で彼らを殺すより罪悪感が減っただろうか。
救いの手を差し伸べる。最初は人がたどり着けない洞窟の奥に
Oh, that's
自分を
sad.
閉じ込めたの。
おや
The sad music is coming back
当時
again.
は君がもたらす増幅が崩壊獣を無限に生み出すことを知らなかったのかい？
You didn't know that the augment you brought about would lead to a steady stream of Honkai. But why?
ええ、あの造物たちがもたらした災いを知るまでは私の感覚が普通の人間と同じであったならおそらく安心して
If my senses were like
ずっと自
ordinary
分をあそこに
people,
閉じ込めていたでしょ
I would probably have kept myself comfortably imprisoned
う。
there.
でも私がこの世界に現れるたびに苦痛や悔しさ、死、
Whenever I
似たよう
reappear,
な思いは四方八方からどんどん湧いてくる。
the music is giving me the chills.
それで分かったの。自ら近づこうとしなくても私が災いの源であることは変わらないって。
They didn't really explain why the Honkai beasts were coming because of her. Because she's the natural enemy of Honkai? Maybe?
私はそこから離れこの手で自分の過ちを償おうとした。
What a sad story though.
普通の崩壊獣はもちろん君に危害を加える
Well,
こ
they
とは
don't,
でき
but
な
they
い。
pose a threat to the humans.
確かに。でも結果はあなたも予測してたはずでしょう。人間を噛みちぎろうとする崩壊獣を止められたとしても私の出現は彼らを別の形で死なせることになる。
Crazy.
余計なことかもしれ
I
ない
didn't
が
expect that to be her
誰も自
backstory.
分の天賦のために責任を負う必要はないと私は思っているがね。
I don't think anyone should be blamed for their talent.
何はともあれ私もシャに当てだから、わ
She's the embodiment of relief. She could never just forgive herself like that.
だから人間の体内の精魂を呼び覚まし
Oh.
君に適した存在にすることを思いついたのか。
そんな風に考えたことがなかったらよかったんだけど。
理解できなくもない。それは属性ではある
Like
種の
Project Stigma would have been in Arc City,
殺戮だから
right? A massacre.
見ての通り誕生した時の私が
Oh.
ただの呪いなら今の私は自らの手で自分を怪物にした。私のような怪物からあなたたちは何を得ようとしてるの？
やっぱりな。私が気にしてい
As
る
far
こ
as you
とを
can tell, it
君は
was
言
all
ってい
just a
ない。
needless
君
expedient.
からすればそれは意味のないその場しのぎの対策だったのだろう。もちろん前例があったとしても君にできるとは思えない。だからこの命の本当の
My
使い
life's true
道は
purpose.
ここで明らかにするべきだと思う。
Okay.
使い道？
ある行動は君にとって人々の物語を補完する手段でしかない。 だから
What you'll
君の
see
た
as a
めに
way
死
to
んだ人
pause
間を救う
people's
ことはで
stories,
きない。
not redeeming those lives that were lost because of you. She's still killing people. Like at first she didn't even want all of this. She was so afraid that she locked herself away, and now she's still bringing people some kind of death with like Project Stigma, right? And just gives them fake life in this space where she's just living.
しかし私からすればそれは奇跡のような未来を意味している。
I'm not so sure about that.
君の特質のせいで私
I'm
は死んでい
gradually
く。
dying.
もう助からない。
Succumb then, do as you once had done.
君が昔にしたように私を現実の存在からただのデータに転写しイデアの
Transcribe my
形で保管
presence
して
into
くれ。
pure data. That's what she's doing. That is not like weaving a dream, right? So she can just kill people by taking their she makes them into data in some kind of way, right?
私のすべてを手に入れた暁には言葉よりも効率的なコミュニケーションの手段
I
で
will show you in
君は
ways
知る
words
だろ
never
う。
could.
真の成婚計画とは何かを。
The true project stigma. That is insane. That is insane. Okay, let us investigate Hare's past. There is so much that... Oh, there is a lot. Like, there is so much I didn't expect to be in this, you know? And I thought it would go on a lot faster, but maybe Kiana's and Bronya's parts are a little bit shorter. Maybe they... Like, I feel like chapter 33 is, like, so long. But I mean, it's the ending chapters, so... They have to be quiet. Massive. What?
彼女は成婚計画の鍵というだけではなく、
The origin of
ある意味で、
Project Sigma.
その起源なんですか。
True, true. She's the one who collects the data, the ideas, right, of the humans that are then the new humans.
つまり
This record, which Hare called Grey Serpent 7125, like all seed of ideas here, was once a real life. At the time of death, all or part of their existences were preserved as data by Hare. And now the information implantation she was about to perform on the Hash of Reason was much the same, but simpler and more direct.
つまり彼女は誰よりも慣れている遊び方を選んだ。それに成婚計画を利用してチートすることも
That
で
is
きるんですね。
insane. She's just collecting us as data, right? And transcribing us into the project. She turned her head. It was now difficult to find any pawns that existed in her image. She naturally no longer needed Project Bunny's
選
report.
手でもあり審判でもある。彼女が決めたルールの中では何をしても無駄です。
We're out of time and chances. She must find the key to victory or surrender completely as the Hash of Reason. Bronya, of course, wouldn't do that. But she had no way to fight back. Prometheus could do little to help against Hare's cheating. So she'll have to change her thinking if she's after the ultimate
お
victory.
そらくプロメテウスは間違っていません。
Changing the composition
日
of
社
her
コア
hash,
の
of
構
course.
築形式を変えれば、ブローニャはバンを覆すことができます。
So we need to cheat.
でもそれをするには今までにないようなきっかけが必要です。
Okay. Hera represents Project Stigma to an extent, and she has the other Hash of Reason's back. Containing only 300,000 people, but trying to encompass all humanity. Nothing had indicated a reason why Hare would be so fixated on the Hash of Reason. From a business perspective, only a seal was needed.
そうでした。
A seal? A bit suspicious, she made a guess that would have seemed strange at first glance. To To help prove it, she raised up her arm and began building various weapons from thin air. Not perfect, but it will have to
こ
do.
の空間では成婚計画の力と互角に戦えません。
Okay. Determined, she began putting her strategy to work. So she's just producing weapons now?
さあ、万を覆す本当のチャンスを作り出すために。
Okay. Under her control, they constructed weapons that had been spitting lethal lasers served toward her. I don't know how to pronounce that. It was where her body housed the Harsha core.
ブローニャは負けを認めます。
She's shooting herself. Yo, Bronya! What the hell is?
やっぱり失敗したの？私も彼女もブローニャも。
For me, her, and Bronya. She just shot herself. Where Stargate opens, final crater. Understand Hare's perspective. I feel like I'm getting more to the point where I start understanding stuff again.
完全に終わってしまったのね。
So we fake surrendered, I guess. At this moment, amid her perception, Bronyas' resistance completely disappeared. The Harsh of Reason's power was now completely in World Serpent's hands.
今まで彼女は私と対局してたと思っていたんでしょうね。
I mean, you kind of were. But to her, when Bronya became aware of the game and made her move, it was checkmate. For her, she needn't fight against it tooth and nail. She could look back on her past without fear. And so her present self-desire for the Harsh of Reason is solidified. All she ever needed to do was distract herself to reclaim that was lost. With Project Stigma, that was
計
easy.
画性が足りなかったかしら？もし最初からこの物語を彼女に見せてたら？
She's crazy, man. Like, she's so different now,
でも
so unemotional. Holding back a flood of thoughts, she turned to see the geography of the memory.
シベリア、ウラル山脈。
Hmm.
よく考えたら
So she
あれから
left that
私は
part of her
ここに戻
behind.
っていなかったわね。
Just like Bronya, who had hacked into her own memory, her vision moved beyond her control, causing her to laugh bitterly.
私自身が記録した物語なのに、あの子みたいにもう一人の私の視点からしか見られないのかしら。
Hmm. She thought of those she had once seen here, and the regret in her heart continued to grow.
あなたに家族の情報を教えられると思ったけど、
I thought I could
でも、
bring news about your
私は
family. But why? She begins speaking through her action. She completely cuts herself off from her past, making her consciousness a complete outsider. She knew the present her had no say in what would happen next. Okay, but as chance would have it, did we just lose Bronya? The her who existed in this past also remained silent.
また失敗したの。
Why is she repeating herself? Once again, simply because she was cast into the real space, this human settlement was reduced to a ghost town in an instant. Is that what you wanted to tell her about the Bronyas family? That she was the reason why everyone is basically dead? In the same way she did before, she awakened the stigma within the dying, trying to save their lives by hatching. Those are not eggs. And everything she did was just as futile. She had become somewhat indifferent to this, not because she was used to it, but because it was nigh impossible for sanity and hope to coexist. Hope would be crushed. When the process repeated itself ceaselessly, no one could stay hopeful and sane at the same time. I mean, true.
でも私はこのまま理性を失ってはいけない。せめて全てを あるいは私自身を終わらせる方法を見つけるまでは。誰かそこにいるの？
Huh.
やっぱ
The consciousness
り
is
もう意
gone.
識がない。
She easily pushed the power through the heavy metal. When the driver's stigma was awoken, due to his body's constitution, it didn't seem like genetic engineering at
ど
all.
うせ結果は同じでしょう。
Though she wanted the person before her to live more than anything else, she convinced herself she didn't care. As she expected, in this dull tin can, a newly born zombie is trying to break free. A newly born zombie? Seed of idea. Legend of Nina. Huh? Nina, who's that?
ごめんなさい。私には何もできない。
Domka.
マクシ
Did
ム、
these names ring a bell?
ブラッド、あなたたちなの？
まさか人の声。
That's Bronya's parents and the other guy, the uncle. That is not
こ
an
こ
uncle.
は
Before her was a clearly temporary dwelling. It looked like a public building, but was capable of keeping out the elements. She silently walked into the room the voice had come from, but it was too dim to see
誰？
inside. That Bronya's
誰か来たの？
mother? Oh god. She realized for the person before her, death was already imminent. She wasn't aware there was a visitor. The name she kept repeating, perhaps it was this person who, when near death, believed they could deliver themselves from hell.
そうやって待ってたのに、結局訪れたのは私という災いの元凶だっ
They
たの。
died because of her? Through the darkness, she gave her strength. Maybe she could have continued struggling a bit longer, but only followed by a quick death.
訪れないわずかな希望のためだけに、
I disturbed the victim's
私は自分
peace
勝
and
手
let
に
them
被害者の
die
安らぎを邪魔
in
し、
the maw of monsters.
彼らを怪物にして死なせた。
We recall the legend told since ancient times.
もし地獄が存在するとしたら、死後の私は永遠にそこにとどまるのでしょうね。
I mean, it's not like she wanted to have this. It's not like she wanted to be like this, right? When she thought about an afterlife, there was a glimmer in her eyes. In the darkness, she sensed a hatchet on the table. In harsh Siberia, a tool like this can have many uses. Using it to stroke her throat without leaving a single cut. What? She wondered what angle to slice from this time. Bro,
もうとっくに試したけど、この方法では私を殺せない。
but as she awakened stigma in others again and again, though it destroyed her, she would continue to try so long as there was hope. And it was this obsession that caused her to overlook other peculiarities. For example, why was it that until now she had never heard the screams of those that became
待
zombies?
って、
それはこっちのセリフだけど、
Wait, who is talking to her? The lights violently turned on.
それを下ろしましょう。ね。
That's Bronya's mother. She just looks like her. That is insane.
何があったかは知らないし、あなたを説得する資格もないかもしれないけど、生きていなければチャンスは手に入らない。 そうでしょ。
I love her hair. It's just so Bronya. Since that time, 3 days had flown by.
確かにそういった仕事をしたことはない。でも信じて。私はあなたが知っている誰よりも医学に詳しいの。
Wait, is she
やっ
delivering
ぱり出ない方
Bronya?
がいいと思うわ。
本当にあなたに出会ってから
Oh,
前よりもだいぶ体調が良くなったと思うの。
don't tell me they became friends.
先月に積もった雪がドアを塞いだからみんなで雪かきをしたのよ。その時に少しだけ働いたらなぜか息ができなくなって
She's so
気を失い
pretty.
2日後に目覚めたの。
I'm getting emotional seeing Bronya's mother. She became silent, fixated on what she had said. My health is much better. She knew Alexandra's feelings weren't wrong.
でも稀に見るような崩壊エネルギーへの耐性を持ってはいるけれど、私のせいで生まれた怪物に遭遇したら、とても危険でしょう。
Oh, so after she tries to get the data transcribed, they turn into this seed of ideas that were attacking us as well, right? I get it. Though hard to believe, Alexandra did possess this quality that should only be possible in theory. There was no doubt that 3 days prior, she had given birth to the stigma awakened. What? This is already after Bronya was born, or what? There was no doubt that 3 days prior she had given birth to the stigma. Wait, is Bronya's stigma awakened? She stayed a while to see what made her exceptional, and her physical condition required looking after. From her stomach, it was clear she was not just pregnant, but only a trimester away from giving birth. Okay, so she's still pregnant. I'm confused, what?
それで他の人はもう戻ってこないの？
Wait, they died?
ええ、彼らは怪物に出会ってしまって。
Bronya's father was already dead? I wasn't lying, she thought to herself. Luckily, she had seen the second eruption and didn't need much explaining, of course. Judging from her action and words, just as she didn't know much about Honkai, she knew little about anything outside her daily routine. She was clearly well protected since childhood in the snowy field ravaged by Honkai. She was ultimately too naive. Fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, she accepts reality readily.
そういえばおかしいわね。最近私を救ってくれた人は2人いるけど、1人は名字しか、もう1人は名前しか教えてくれなかった。
Wait, who rescued you?
もしかしてあなたも彼女のことを知ってるの？カカリアっていう軍の人なんだけど。
Did we know this?
いいえ、聞いたことがない名前だわ。
Yo, if we already know this, sorry guys, I forgot, but that is insane.
私だって名字しか教えたくないってわけじゃないの。ただ私は本名がないから。
I never had a real name before.
それはダメでしょ。シャニアテってみんなそう呼んでるの？
Do other people call you Shariak? So the first one is Kokolia with the first name, and the last name is Shariak. Okay, okay.
そういうわけじゃないけど、私はその呼び名にふさわしくないし、そう呼んでくれる
I'm
人もい
not
ない。
worthy of that name, and no one is likely to use it.
でも確かに的確だと思うわ。
あなたって
True.
難しいことを言うのね。
Like the picture of Bronya's mother makes me really emotional. She decided this was something to improve on, or maybe the way she was talking about Stigma Awakened is talking about herself. I don't know. Sometimes the writing is really confusing.
とにかく今日は何がしたいの？出ていくことは反対するけど。 私が変われるなら言ってあげるわ。
Wait, that is so nice that she's like forming a connection and bond with like Bronya's mom.
あ、ちょっと待って。
Struggling to get up from the bed, she groped around for something in the cupboards.
これ、
In her hand were withered plants. It required stigmata knowledge to see they were
近
cornflowers.
くの標本室で見つけた押し花だけど、何もないよりはマシでしょ。もしよかったら、この近くにあるお墓を探してくれない？ 名
I
前は
think maybe that's her
アレク
husband.
セイ・シーダ・ピッチ・ザイツェフ。
I get confused with the names. Who is Vlad then? And who is Maxim? Who is the uncle?
私の代わりにこのお花を彼のお墓に供えてきてちょうだい。
Hmm.
数ヶ月前の災いで命を落と
Okay,
した
so Alexei was
私の
her
旦那なの。
husband.
そこには彼の
Only
帽子
his
と
heart
拳
and
銃しか埋ま
pistol
ってない
are
けど、
there.
毎週話しかけに行ってるの。お
That
花
is
も添えてね。
sad.
誰も訪れないお墓は寂しいって。中に眠る人が本当に消えてしまうからって。外国にいた時に彼がそう言ってたの。
Noticing her uncomprehending gaze, she continued.
平然と話してるから驚いたの？言ったはずでしょ？今の体は悲しむことを許してくれないの。
Oh, so she's sick.
息が荒くなったら落ち着かせる
It's hard
薬
to
すら見
find
つけにくいか
medicine
ら。
to keep up my lung capacity.
見つけたら、いいえ、その時のことはまた後で話しましょう。あなたは
So she's
分かってくれる
dying.
わよね。
That is sad.
ええ。
So that is the memory she wanted to show Bronya? That is so sad. Since that is a weird way to stop this, guys. But since we have the opportunities to stop now, I would like to stop now because it was a lot, but I feel like when we went into like Misteln's backstory, it was easier to understand again. But I feel like for the first half of this two-part video, so for like the previous part, I was very confused with the explanations that Prometheus gave. I have to be honest, that was I don't know why this game sometimes is so complicated, because I feel like even if you want to have these kind of explanations in the game, I feel like writing it in an easier way so it's for the player easier to understand, or maybe it's just because English is not my first language. I don't know. But I feel like sometimes like the usage of words, like the chosen words that they were using here is like sometimes so hard to fully understand the story. But I feel like we're going somewhere. I really love this part here where we get like more background on Bronya, where we get like more background on Misteln as well, and that she is actually connected to Bronya, what her real powers are. I really enjoyed that. I wished I would have had an easier time to understand most of the previous part because I feel like it's very hard for you guys to watch as well when I'm struggling to understand the story because I can't really talk too much about it. We can't really talk too much about it, but as you guys know, as long as it's not spoilery, you can explain stuff to me. I even have like a document where I try to like go over things again when I need to like get back some information or whatever. I wrote down like the things about the stigma. I read something about the will of Honkai. I said this before. So maybe if someone can summarize what Prometheus was saying in like easy words and not too long to help me understand that part better, that would be so nice. But maybe it's just not the time to like understand it. You know what I mean? Maybe we will progressively like get to know the or like understand the story a lot better. I kind of feel bad, when there is stuff that I don't understand, because I'm really trying hard to make this as nice for you as possible. And I feel like when I'm just sitting there and saying I'm confused, I don't understand these things, that you are just getting bored. It's like not nice to watch like me being confused like 90% of the time now. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. The only thing I can do is just go on and see if we can make sense after we finish like part one. But anyways, guys, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the two last parts. I am still excited to go on, even though we are on a more like exhausting part right now, exhausting and like kind of overwhelming, but also interesting. It's like always a little bit conflicting right now, where I'm just thinking, please, can we go on? I want some excitement, but also like I'm very interested in like what Hare's part is, even though I didn't expect it. But we will see how the rest of the chapters unfold. Yeah, anyways, in the next part, we are checking out the tombstones, going on with like Bronya's story and Mistel's story, and it's fascinating that they are connected. It's interesting to see that, and that is why maybe she has such a huge connection to like Bronya and the core and stuff like that, or maybe she promised her mother something. Doesn't matter right now. We will find out in the upcoming parts. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching and for stopping by, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.